My name is Lena. I'm 34. And before you judge me, just listen, because I swear I didn't set out to be that woman. It's been eating at me for months now, the way people look at me like I'm some kind of homewrecker with no conscience. Like everything was black and white. Like love doesn't get messy when people bury parts of themselves to survive in something they can no longer feel. I married Aaron because it made sense. Safe, reliable, respectable Aaron. The guy you bring home to your parents and sleep next to without worrying if he'll disappear in the night. He loved me, loves me, in the way someone loves a version of you that stopped existing 5 years ago. But I stayed with Theo. Yes, his brother. It sounds worse when you say it like that. Theo was chaos, always. The kind of person who could laugh at a funeral and make it seem appropriate. I never should have let myself fall for him, but I did. Years before the wedding, long before I said I do to Aaron in that little cedar chapel with rain dotting the stained glass windows. I didn't fall for Theo after the marriage. That's the worst part. I never stopped. I wish I could say Aaron and I were unhappy from the beginning. That I was tricked or lonely or desperate. But the truth is, it used to be good. Our first year, I felt like I was finally doing life right. Sunday pancakes in his t-shirt, his hand finding mine under the dinner table, the slow curl of his arms around me at night. It wasn't passionate, not like Theo, but it was warm. Safe. Dependable. But then, it started. Little things. A kiss that felt like a checkbox. A hug that didn't linger. He'd hold me in bed and sigh like it was a job he wasn't paid enough to do. We'd cuddle during movie nights, and I'd wait for the shift. For his body to respond to mine the way it used to, but it stayed still, like I was just there. We stopped talking about dreams. Or fears. Or anything that wasn't the groceries, the bills, the dog's next vet appointment. And then Theo moved back home. Of course he did. He walked in like he always did, unapologetically alive. Loud in the places Aaron was quiet. Messy where Aaron was meticulous. God, he made everything feel brighter again. One night, months after Theo had moved in temporarily to help take care of their dad, I caught Aaron watching me while I laughed at one of Theo's dumb impressions. I mean, really laughed, with my whole body, something I hadn't done in ages. And Aaron just looked blank. Like he couldn't recognize me anymore. And maybe he couldn't. Maybe I couldn't either. I wish I could point to a singular betrayal. One night, one mistake. But it wasn't like that. It was 100 little almosts. 100 glances too long, silences too charged, moments too dangerous to mean nothing. But I stayed. I stayed because Aaron was a good man, and I owed him the version of me he married. Still, the exact moment I knew something had shifted, it was our anniversary dinner. 5 years. He bought me lilies, my favorite, or so he thought. We were dressed up, candlelit, smiling for the waitress's photo. And when he reached across the table and brushed his thumb across my knuckles, I flinched. It was subtle. Barely a twitch. But I felt it in my bones. I was already gone. He's a surgeon. A good one, gifted hands, steady under pressure, the kind of guy nurses whisper about in hospital halls. Aaron saves lives like it's muscle memory. He thrives in chaos, but only when it's clinical, controlled, contained in operating rooms under sterile light. At home, he tries. I want to believe that. He'll come back from a 16-hour shift, eyes bloodshot, back stiff, and the first thing he does is kiss me. On the cheek. The neck. Sometimes lower. But it feels wrong. Like he's skipping the part where he actually sees me. I'll be sitting on the couch, laptop open, grading student essays while chewing on the same cold piece of toast from hours ago. And he'll come in, drop his bag, slide behind me, and press his body into mine like we're magnets. I missed you, he'll whisper. But it's a script. He says it every time. And I don't know how to explain to him that I don't want his hands when his eyes don't even meet mine first. That I'm starving for presence, not pressure. Last week, I asked him if he could stay home Sunday. Just one day. One day without the on-call switch flipping or texts buzzing from the hospital. He looked so tired, so frustrated. "You know I can't promise that," he said. "There's a kid waiting on a liver transplant. I can't just turn that off. And how do you argue with that? With someone whose love language is saving the world?" Instead, I said nothing. I nodded, told him I understood, kissed his cheek like I meant it. Sunday came, and he was gone before I woke up. That night, he brought home sushi and rubbed my shoulders while I washed dishes. "You know I love you, right?" he murmured against my ear. I swallowed. "I know. But I didn't feel it. Not the way I needed to." Later, in bed, he reached for me again. His touch was familiar, practiced. He knew the spots that used to melt me. My hips, my thighs, the small of my back. But all I could think about was how quiet I felt inside. How invisible. "I'm tired," I said gently, turning my body away. He exhaled hard. "Right," he muttered. "Of course you are." It wasn't just what he said, it was the way he said it. Like I was withholding affection on purpose. Like I was punishing him. And I wanted to scream, "I'm not tired of sex, I'm tired of feeling alone in it." But the words stuck to my throat. Instead, I watched the ceiling while he shifted away from me, the space between us growing colder by the second. We weren't fighting. We weren't yelling. We were just missing each other. And it felt worse than any argument could. It started with a towel. I was standing at the sink, hands wet, rinsing off the coffee mugs from the morning rush. The sun was barely up, one of those gray, moody Tuesdays where the light looks like it gave up halfway through the sky. I was still in my sleep shirt, hair tied in a messy knot, half dreaming of calling in sick, just to be alone for once. Aaron came up behind me, slid his arms around my waist. At first, it felt nice. Familiar. The kind of comfort I used to crave. Then, slap. His palm landed on my butt like it was some cute, married people thing. I stiffened. He didn't notice. "Morning, babe," he mumbled into my neck, breath warm, already kissing the space behind my ear like he knew it would lead somewhere. His hands started to move, slow and certain, like we'd done this dance 1,000 times, which we had. But my insides twisted. I wanted to feel it. I wanted to melt. To let it turn into something soft or slow or even messy, like it used to be. But I couldn't stop thinking about the dishes in the sink, or the pile of laundry in the bedroom, or the fact that we hadn't had a real conversation in 4 days that didn't involve groceries, prescriptions, or one of his endless ER rotations. I dried my hands fast, ducked out of his arms gently, like I was just shifting to grab a plate. He paused, watching me. "What, no good morning for me?" I forced a smile. "Sorry, I'm just distracted." "You've been distracted a lot lately." "I have a lot on my mind," I said. It came out too sharp. He blinked. "So do I, Lena. Doesn't mean I stop showing up for you." And just like that, the air changed. "I didn't say you didn't," I replied, quieter now, already feeling the guilt set in. He came closer again, hands light on my waist. "Look, I'm just trying, okay? I miss you." I nodded, eyes on the floor. "I know." He kissed me softly this time, mouth to mouth. Sweet, patient. And I let him. I let it happen. But I felt nothing. No warmth. No flutter. No ache. Just the slow thud of my heart trying to pretend. He pulled back, searching my face. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said too fast. "Just tired." He gave a tight smile and stepped back. "Right." We moved around each other the rest of the morning like dancers who forgot the choreography. Careful. Mismatched. Half a second too slow. And as I stood in the doorway watching him leave, bag over his shoulder, coffee in hand, lips still damp from a kiss I didn't feel, I heard the question rise in my chest again, bitter and relentless. Why does everything have to turn into sex? It happened at Matteo's, the Italian place Aaron always books when he's trying to make things better. Candlelight linen napkins, overpriced Cabernet. We'd been here every anniversary, every apology dinner, every time he needed to remind me we were okay. We weren't okay. The waiter had just cleared our plates, half-finished ravioli for me, steak for him, and Aaron reached across the table, threading his fingers through mine. "You look beautiful tonight," he said, thumb brushing the back of my hand. I swallowed, smiling because that's what you do when someone says something nice to you. But the smile felt brittle, like it might crack if he pressed too hard. Then he leaned in, his voice low. "Maybe when we get home, we could take a bath together. Like we used to." My stomach dropped. Not because he said anything wrong. Not because it was crude or out of line. But because it felt like a transaction. Like a prize for me getting through dinner without being distant. I pulled my hand back too fast. "I'm not in the mood," I said, a little too loudly. His brow furrowed. "Okay." I didn't mean to. "Jesus, Aaron," I snapped, surprising even myself. "Do you ever just want to talk to me? Just talk? Or is this always the goal? Get through dinner so you can peel my clothes off like that makes everything fine?" He stared at me, stunned. The couples at nearby tables looked over. My voice had risen. I was trembling, chest tight, mouth dry. Aaron's face darkened. "Where is this coming from?" "You act like touching me fixes things," I said, quieter now but still shaking. "But I feel like I'm screaming inside and you never hear me." He blinked. "I'm trying, Lena. I don't know what else you want from me. I want to feel like more than a body you come home to." The tears broke then, hot and humiliating. "I want to feel like I matter when my legs are closed." The silence after was brutal. His jaw clenched, and he looked away, folding his napkin with too much force. "I don't know what to do with that." "Neither do I," I whispered. On the way home, we didn't speak. The car was too quiet. Every red light felt like a punishment. I kept my gaze out the window, watching the city blur. When we got home, he went straight to the bedroom and shut the door. I stood in the kitchen, coat still on, arms wrapped around myself. I married his brother. The words came back to me like a curse. Not physically, not legally, but emotionally, spiritually. The part of me that had loved Theo never fully let go. And maybe Aaron knew. Maybe he'd always known. And still, he tried. And I was cruel tonight. I hurt him. I sank to the floor, back against the fridge, tears slipping quietly now. Shame coiled inside me. Confusion too. Guilt, sharp and sour. Why does it always come to this? Why do I feel like I'm drowning in a life I chose? And worse, why do I still miss someone I was never supposed to keep? The question echoed long into the dark. What if I'm the one breaking this on purpose? It's been 17 days. I know because I counted. I've counted everything lately. How many times we've spoken beyond logistics, how many meals we've eaten in silence, how many nights he's turned away from me in bed. 17 days since that night at Mateo's. He hasn't brought it up. Not once. He still comes home. Still folds his scrubs neatly before tossing them in the hamper. Still feeds our dog. Still remembers to bring home oat milk because I hate the regular kind in my coffee. But something's gone. He moves through the house like a ghost. Not angry. Not cold. Just absent. Like he's running on autopilot. I catch him sometimes, staring at nothing while the kettle boils, thumb circling the edge of his coffee mug. Or sitting on the edge of the bed, rubbing his temples like the weight of being here has finally become too much. He doesn't touch me. Not even accidentally. And it guts me more than I thought it would. Because now I miss him. Not just his body, his presence. His steady hands, the way he used to press his palm to my lower back when we crossed streets. The way he used to make bad dad jokes when I came home stressed from teaching. How he'd trace circles on my shoulder without thinking while we watched TV. I miss feeling like someone saw me, even if they didn't see all of me. And now I can't seem to find a way back in. This morning I tried. I made him coffee and slid it across the counter. He looked up, surprised. "Thanks," he said softly, eyes searching mine for just a second. I nodded. "You heading in early?" "Yeah. Surgery at 8. And that was it." He left with a quiet "see you tonight," and the sound of the door closing felt like another conversation we didn't have. I sat at the table for a long time after, staring into his untouched coffee. The worst part is, I don't think he blames me anymore. I think he's just tired. Tired of fighting for a version of us that doesn't fit anymore. And maybe that's what breaks me. Because Aaron's not a bad man. He never was. He's just a man who thought he was marrying someone who'd always choose him first. And I tried. I tried to make that true. But the truth is messier. The truth is I buried too much of myself to make this work. I wanted to be the right choice. The steady one. Not the girl who burned for someone she could never have. I'm sitting on our bed now, the one we picked out together after we moved into this apartment. The sheets are still his favorite dark gray. His scent lingers in the pillow next to mine. I could reach for him. Try again. Apologize. Ask for something small, a walk, a talk, anything. But I don't know what I'd say. And I don't know if it's too late. So I sit there, holding the silence like it's something fragile. And I ask myself, honestly, do I want to keep trying? Or is this the part where I let go? That night, I found him on the couch. It was almost midnight. I'd been lying in bed, eyes open, heart loud in my chest. The space next to me stayed empty. Not just tonight. Almost every night lately. I padded out into the living room, barefoot, quiet. The TV was still on, casting pale blue shadows across his face. He wasn't watching, just staring. His arms were crossed, shoulders hunched. There was something so lonely about the shape of him right then, like even his body had given up trying to be understood. I stood there a moment, just watching. Then he noticed me. Couldn't sleep? He asked softly. I shook my head. You. He shrugged, eyes flicking back to the screen. Didn't try. Silence. The kind that's so thick it presses against your chest. I walked over slowly and sat on the edge of the couch, near his feet. He didn't move away. That felt like something. I'm sorry, I said. He didn't respond right away. His eyes stayed on the flickering TV, but I saw his throat tighten. For what? He asked finally. For shutting you out. For not knowing how to say what I needed. For hurting you. He looked at me then. Really looked. And there it was, tired, quiet pain in the lines around his mouth, the crease in his brow. You think I didn't feel you pulling away? He said. You think I didn't know something was wrong? Tears pricked my eyes. Then why didn't you say anything? Because every time I touched you, you flinched. His voice cracked, and I didn't know what part of me you were pushing away, me, or just the man who wasn't him. I stopped breathing. The words landed like a stone in my chest. I'm not stupid, Lena, he whispered. You think I didn't see the way you looked at Theo? The room froze around his name. I opened my mouth, but no words came. He nodded, like that was answer enough. After a long silence, he said, I think I wanted to believe we could still work. That we were just in a rough season. But I've been holding my breath for over a year. I reached for his hand. He let me take it. His fingers were warm. Familiar. I wanted to love you the right way, I whispered. I know you did, he said. I wanted to be enough. Tears slid down my cheeks, silent and slow. He pulled me gently into a hug. No urgency. No seduction. Just warmth. A memory of us. I buried my face in his neck and held him like I was saying goodbye. Because I think, deep down, I was. He kissed the top of my head. Then we pulled apart, both of us blinking like we'd just woken from a dream. And when he stood to go back to the bedroom, I stayed on the couch. Neither of us asked the other to follow. Bittersweet, quiet, and human, that's how love ends sometimes. Not with betrayal. Not with screaming. Just two people who tried. And knew, finally, it wasn't enough. I used to think love was choosing someone. That if you chose them hard enough, often enough, if you kept showing up, folding laundry, buying oat milk, forgiving the late nights and the silences, that eventually, the rest would fall into place. That desire would return. That intimacy would bloom out of effort like a reward. But it doesn't work like that. Desire isn't a checklist. Emotional connection isn't earned through loyalty points. And love, Real love requires being seen. Not just accepted, but known. Held in your darkest, most unflattering places, and still looked at with softness. Aaron loved me the best way he knew how. He touched me like that meant he understood me. But I needed more. I needed to be reached without being grabbed. Spoken to without being fixed. And I didn't know how to ask for that. I thought wanting more meant I was ungrateful. Or broken. Or selfish. It doesn't. It means I'm human. I've learned that sometimes we stay with people not because they're right, but because they're safe. Because their love is steady, and their hands know our skin better than we know our own needs. And sometimes we confuse that safety for passion. But there's a difference between being chosen and being wanted. He didn't leave. Not right away. We stayed in the same apartment for a while after. Two ghosts passing in the hallway, still sharing meals, still saying goodnight, but something in us had already slipped through the cracks. Eventually, I packed a bag. Not in anger. Not in drama. Just with the quiet knowing that I couldn't keep shrinking myself to fit inside a version of love that no longer felt like mine. And the hardest part? He let me go. Not because he stopped loving me, but because he finally loved himself enough not to beg someone to stay who wasn't whole with him anymore. So now I sit with that. The ache. The truth. And I tell you this not for pity, not for judgment, but because someone out there might be sitting in the same silence I once did, wondering why the kisses feel empty, why their body recoils at night, why they miss something that was never said out loud. You're not crazy. You're not cold. You're just lonely in a way no touch can fix. And you deserve more than being loved almost right. So did I. 1.